The world watched in horror as the flames of war engulfed Europe. Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler's iron fist had unleashed its blitzkrieg. Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands and France had fallen one after another. The Wehrmacht, seemingly invincible, stood poised to strike at the heart of the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, began in June 1941. It was the largest military operation in human history. Millions of German soldiers, alongside their Axis allies, surged across the Soviet border. Their objective, to crush the Soviet Union and conquer the vast expanse of European Russia. The initial German advance was swift and brutal. Soviet forces, caught off guard and ill-prepared, were pushed back on all fronts. The Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, dominated the skies, raining down destruction on Soviet cities, airfields and troop concentrations. The Red Army suffered staggering losses in men and material. As the summer of 1942 approached, the German offensive had lost some of its momentum. However, Hitler remained confident in victory. He shifted his focus southward towards the Caucasus region, rich in oil, and the industrial city of Stalingrad, a vital transportation hub on the Volga River. The capture of Stalingrad, a city that bore the name of the Soviet leader, would be a political and strategic victory of immense significance for the Nazi regime. Stalingrad, a sprawling industrial city on the banks of the Volga River, was a place of contrast. Factories and shipyards hummed with activity, producing tanks, guns and other war materials for the Soviet war effort. Residential neighborhoods, with their modest houses and apartment blocks, offered a glimpse of ordinary life amidst the turmoil of war. The city's strategic importance was undeniable. The Volga River was a vital artery for the Soviet Union, connecting the oil fields of the Caucasus to the industrial centers of the north. Stalingrad itself was a major transportation hub with rail lines and waterways converging on the city. Its capture would sever a lifeline for the Soviet war machine. The citizens of Stalingrad, like people across the Soviet Union, had embraced the call to defend their homeland. Workers toiled tirelessly in factories producing weapons and ammunition. Civilians, including women and children, dug anti-tank ditches, built barricades, and prepared for the coming onslaught. The city was determined to resist the Nazi invaders. Operation Barbarossa, launched on June 22, 1941, was the culmination of Hitler's ambition to crush the Soviet Union. The German invasion force, the largest the world had ever seen, was divided into three army groups. Army Group North aimed for Leningrad, Army Group Center for Moscow, and Army Group South for the fertile lands of Ukraine and the Caucasus oil field. The initial German advance was nothing short of breathtaking. Soviet forces deployed close to the border and unprepared for the ferocity of the German attack were overrun. The Luftwaffe, enjoying air superiority, wreaked havoc on Soviet airfields, communication centers and troop concentrations. Tanks of the Panzer divisions, spearheaded by Rommel's Afrika Korps, sliced through Soviet defenses. By the end of summer 1941, the Germans had achieved significant victories. They had captured vast swathes of Soviet territory, inflicted heavy casualties on the Red Army and taken millions of prisoners. The road to Moscow seemed open. However, the invasion had also revealed weaknesses in the German war machine. Logistical problems, stiffening Soviet resistance, and the vast distances of the Eastern Front began to take their toll. The Red Army, though reeling from the initial German onslaught, was far from defeated. As the Germans approached Stalingrad, they encountered increasingly fierce resistance. Soviet soldiers, inspired by patriotism and a determination to defend their homeland, fought with tenacity and courage. The Soviet High Command, under the leadership of Joseph Stalin and generals such as Georgy Zhukov, began to reorganize and reinforce the Red Army. Fresh troops were brought from the east. Factories in the Urals and beyond churned out tanks, artillery pieces and aircraft. The Soviet Union,